Welcome to the Prescott Lab Podcast, not just theory, practical science for everyone. I'm Dr. Jonathan Prescott, a physician and integrative medicine researcher at the Ravenshade Institute for Human Health. Gentlemen, let me start with a truth that may sting. The very habits you repeat every single day, the things you think are harmless, may be silently forcing your prostate to grow. And when that happens, it doesn't just mean more bathroom trips. It steals your sleep. It weakens your bladder control. It even robs you of the simple confidence of feeling like a man. After 60, the line between health and disease becomes razor thin. I've sat across from men in their 50s already chained to the bathroom, and I've treated men in their 70s who sleep through the night with no trouble at all. The difference is not fate. It is not luck. It is habit. For more than 30 years, I've listened to men ask me the same question in a whisper. Doctor, is this just part of getting older? And my answer is always the same: no. Age alone does not decide your future. The way you live does. That is why today we will uncover the 7 worst daily habits that fuel prostate growth. And more importantly, I'll show you how to break them starting now so you can protect your freedom, your confidence, and your dignity. But let me give you this warning. Habit number 4 is the one almost every man over 60 does without realizing it, and it quietly fuels prostate growth faster than all the rest. Before we dive in, do me one favor. Hit subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss another men's health tip designed for you. And tell me in the comments, type 1 if you're ready to break these habits starting tonight, or type 0 if you'd like me to bring you even more solutions. Now, let's begin with the first hidden danger. A habit almost every man over 60 falls into without a second thought: sitting too long. Habit 1: ignoring water and relying on coffee or alcohol. Gentlemen, let's start with one of the most common and most overlooked habits that quietly fuels prostate growth: replacing water with coffee, tea, soda, or alcohol. I can't tell you how many men sit across from me and proudly say, "Doctor, I stay hydrated. I drink coffee all morning, iced tea in the afternoon, and maybe a couple of beers at night." And I have to look them in the eye and say, that is not hydration, that is irritation. Here's why. Coffee, tea, and alcohol act as diuretics. They push your kidneys to flood the bladder, forcing your prostate and bladder tissues to work overtime. On top of that, caffeine and alcohol are direct irritants. They inflame the delicate tissues of your urinary system. And when you add dehydration into the mix, because none of these drinks actually replenish the body, you end up with concentrated urine. That thick, acidic urine rubs against your prostate like sandpaper. Day after day, year after year, it pushes the gland to swell. I remember one patient, Thomas, 68 years old. He told me he was waking up 4, sometimes 5 times a night to urinate. He thought it was just part of aging. But when I asked about his drinking habits, he admitted he drank almost no water at all, just coffee, tea, and a beer with dinner. His body was crying out for water, and his prostate was paying the price. Within weeks of swapping even half of those drinks for plain water, his nighttime trips dropped, his sleep improved, his confidence returned. Think of water as oil in an engine. Without it, the gears grind, friction builds, and parts begin to fail. With it, everything runs smoothly. For men over 60, water isn't just a drink, it's medicine. It cools inflammation, restores balance, and keeps the prostate from swelling against you. So here's my challenge. Tomorrow morning, before your first cup of coffee, pour yourself a glass of water. At lunch, sip water alongside your meal. In the evening, replace 1 beer or soda with water. These may seem like small changes, but they carry enormous weight for your prostate. Because hydration isn't optional, it's one of the simplest, most powerful ways to protect your freedom and your manhood. Habit 2: sitting too long every day. Gentlemen, the next hidden habit may seem harmless, so harmless that most men never question it. But it quietly places constant pressure on your prostate day after day, year after year. I'm talking about sitting too long. Now I want you to picture this with me. A man retires after 40 years of hard work. He's earned his rest. He spends more hours in his favorite chair, watching TV, scrolling on his phone, or maybe working on a crossword. At first, it feels like a reward, even a luxury. But slowly, changes begin to creep in. His bladder feels heavier. His trips to the bathroom become more frequent. His nights are interrupted again and again. And he has no idea that his chair is quietly becoming one of his greatest enemies. Here's what's happening inside. When you sit for hours, blood flow to the pelvis slows down. Veins around the prostate and bladder become congested, like a traffic jam that never clears. That congestion builds pressure, and over time it stirs up inflammation. The prostate begins to swell. What was once a walnut-sized gland starts pressing against the urethra like a clamp. The stream weakens, the urgency grows, and the night becomes a parade of bathroom visits. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this in my clinic. A man walks in, embarrassed, saying, "Doctor, I can't sleep through the night anymore. I feel chained to the bathroom." And when I ask about his daily routine, the answer is almost always the same. I sit most of the day. The human body was not designed for stillness. To your prostate, stillness is stagnation, and stagnation is dangerous. Think of a pond left untouched. The water becomes murky, stale, and over time unhealthy. That's exactly how your prostate reacts to too much sitting. Oxygen and nutrients can't circulate properly. Waste isn't cleared and irritation lingers. But here's the good news. The solution is not complicated. You don't need to train for a marathon. You don't even need to give up your favorite chair. What your prostate needs is rhythm. Every 30 to 45 minutes, give your body and your prostate a gift. Stand up, stretch, walk across the room, or step outside for a few breaths of fresh air. Even a short break is enough to restart circulation and release the pressure building in your pelvis. I remember a patient named Harold, 71 years old. He confessed to me that after retirement, he stopped joining his wife on her evening walks. He stopped playing with his grandchildren in the yard. Instead, the couch became his world. Within a year, his prostate symptoms had worsened: constant urgency, restless nights, and a weak stream that left him frustrated. When I challenged him to add short walks after each meal, he looked doubtful. But weeks later, his wife came to me first. She smiled and said, "Doctor, I feel like I have my husband back." His prostate improved, yes, but so did his mood, his energy, even his marriage. That's the deeper truth here. Movement isn't just physical medicine, it's emotional. When you move, you remind yourself that life is still active, still moving forward with you. Every step you take tells your body, "I am alive, I am not finished, I am still in the game." So, gentlemen, don't underestimate the chair. It feels comfortable, but if you let it dominate your day, it can quietly dominate your life. By standing up more often, by weaving little moments of movement into your routine, you're not just protecting your prostate, you're protecting your freedom, your dignity, and your future. And while sitting too long may be one of the most common mistakes, the next hidden habit cuts even deeper. It isn't about how you move, but what you put on your plate, because food can either be your prostate's medicine or its poison. Habit 3: eating processed, fatty, and salty foods. Gentlemen, let's talk about something that sits right on your plate, something so ordinary that most men never question it, yet it silently fuels prostate growth year after year. I'm talking about processed, fatty, and salty foods. Now I understand. Food is one of life's greatest pleasures, especially as we grow older. A juicy burger on a summer afternoon, a plate of fried chicken at a family gathering, a salty snack in front of the television. It feels harmless, even comforting. But to your prostate, these foods are like gasoline poured on a fire. Here's what happens inside your body. Processed meats, fried dishes, and salty packaged snacks don't just satisfy cravings. They set off a chain reaction. Saturated fats and chemical preservatives drive inflammation. High sodium levels strain your kidneys and bladder while directly irritating your prostate. At the same time, these foods shift your hormones. lowering testosterone balance and encouraging prostate cells to multiply faster. Over months and years, that storm of inflammation, hormonal imbalance, and irritation forces the prostate to swell beyond its natural size. I think of one of my longtime patients, Martin, 66 years old. He came to me tired, worn down, waking up 3 or 4 times each night just to urinate. When I asked him about his diet, he gave a sheepish smile and said, "Doctor, I still eat like I'm 30. Bacon and eggs every morning, fast food lunches, chips in the evening. It was the diet of convenience and comfort, not of health." But his prostate was telling a different story. After we worked together to cut back on processed meats and fried foods and replace them with fresh vegetables, fish, berries, and pumpkin seeds, the change was dramatic. Within months, his nighttime trips dropped. His flow improved. He even told me, "Doctor, I feel sharper in my mind, stronger in my body, and my wife says she sees the difference." That's the hidden power of food. It can inflame or it can heal. Every bite you take is a signal to your prostate either grow and swell or calm and restore. Science backs this up. Diets high in processed fats and sodium have been linked to increased risk of benign prostatic hyperplasia or BPH. On the other hand, diets rich in antioxidants, omega-3s, and cruciferous vegetables, like broccoli, cauliflower, and kale, have been shown to reduce inflammation and protect the prostate. Tomatoes loaded with lycopene act almost like armor for prostate cells. Even something as simple as swapping potato chips for a handful of walnuts or pumpkin seeds sends your body in the right direction. But this isn't just about numbers and lab results. It's about dignity. Because when your prostate grows inflamed, you lose more than sleep, you lose freedom. You hesitate to travel, you avoid gatherings, you worry about intimacy. And much of it traces back to what's on the plate in front of you. I remember another patient, Charles, 70 years old. He told me, "Doctor, food was my comfort, my way of feeling good when life was stressful. I never thought it could be killing my sleep and my confidence." When he finally shifted his meals, more salmon, more leafy greens, less processed junk, not only did his prostate calm down, but so did his mood. His energy rose. His sense of control came back. He looked me in the eye and said, "Doctor, I feel like I've turned back the clock." Gentlemen, that's the deeper truth. Food is not just fuel, it's information. Every bite you take tells your body what to do, and your prostate listens carefully. So tonight, when you sit down at the table, ask yourself, is this food medicine or is it poison? Is it calming my prostate or quietly inflaming it? Because those small choices, repeated daily, decide whether you'll spend your nights in peace or in the bathroom. And while food is one of the most powerful habits shaping your prostate, there's another culprit most men shrug off. Something so ordinary it's become invisible. I'm talking about the silent thief of the night, ignoring sleep and staying up late. Habit 4, ignoring sleep and staying up late. Gentlemen, if there is one habit that quietly robs men over 60 of their health without them realizing it, it is this: neglecting sleep. I hear it all the time in my clinic. "Doctor, I just don't sleep the way I used to. I fall asleep in front of the television. I wake up at 3:00 a.m. and stare at the ceiling, or I stay up late scrolling through my phone." Many men shrug and say, "It's just age, right?" But the truth is far more dangerous. Every missed hour of deep sleep is a message to your prostate: grow. Here's the science. During deep, restorative sleep, your body resets. Testosterone, the hormone of vitality and manhood, is produced at its highest levels in the night. Melatonin, the sleep hormone, doesn't just make you drowsy. It plays a powerful role in regulating cell growth, including prostate cells. And while those hormones rise, cortisol, the stress hormone, drops. This perfect balance calms inflammation, repairs tissue, and gives your prostate a chance to breathe. But when you cheat yourself of sleep, that balance collapses. Testosterone falls, melatonin plummets, cortisol spikes. And that deadly trio acts like fertilizer for your prostate. It swells, it inflames, it squeezes your bladder and strangles your flow. I think of one patient, Daniel, 70 years old. He proudly told me he had trained himself to live on 5 hours of sleep for decades. He thought it made him stronger, more productive. But when he reached his 70s, his strength crumbled. He was exhausted by noon, frustrated at night, and chained to the bathroom with weak flow and constant urgency. When we tested his hormones, his testosterone was low, his cortisol was sky high, and his prostate was inflamed. His discipline of staying up late was slowly sacrificing his health. And here's the part that breaks my heart. Many men convince themselves that dozing off in front of the TV counts as rest. It doesn't. Shallow, fragmented sleep is not the same as deep, restorative rest. Your prostate needs 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep, without the blue glow of screens, without caffeine or alcohol still coursing through your system. When men finally commit to sleep as medicine, the difference is profound. I've seen patients who turned off the TV an hour earlier, dimmed the lights, avoided caffeine after lunch, and created a simple bedtime ritual. Within weeks, they were waking up less at night. Their energy returned. Their confidence brightened. One man looked me in the eye and said, "Doctor, I didn't know how much I had lost until I got it back." Gentlemen, let me be blunt. Sleep is not a luxury. It is the most powerful, free medicine your body has. Every night you cut corners, you are giving your prostate permission to grow unchecked. But every night you protect your rest, you are giving yourself dignity, strength, and freedom. So tonight, when you're tempted to stay up for another episode, another news cycle, another scroll on your phone, I want you to remember this. Your prostate is listening. Will you give it chaos or will you give it calm? And while poor sleep fuels inflammation inside, there's another habit that strikes at the very core of manhood. A habit so many men avoid out of embarrassment, fear, or fatigue, neglecting intimacy and sexual health. And this one, perhaps more than any other, reveals the truth that the prostate is not just a gland, but a mirror of how you live as a man. Habit 5. Ignoring intimacy and sexual health. Gentlemen, the next habit is one many men never talk about. They keep it hidden, silent, tucked away as if it were shameful, yet it has one of the most profound impacts on the prostate. I'm talking about neglecting intimacy and sexual health. For some men, this happens gradually. Life slows down, fatigue grows, desire fades, and intimacy becomes less frequent until one day it disappears altogether. For others, it's driven by fear of failure, embarrassment over weaker erections, or the quiet belief that intimacy isn't meant for me anymore. And so they close that door, they stop trying, they stop reaching. But what they don't realize is this: ignoring intimacy is not neutral. It is a habit that actively harms the prostate. Here's the science. Regular sexual activity, whether with a partner or solo, keeps the prostate healthy. It clears out stagnant fluids, improves circulation, and balances hormones. Without that natural release, congestion builds inside the gland like pressure in a pipe that never flushes. Over time, the prostate swells, irritation rises, and symptoms worsen. I'll never forget one patient, Howard, 74. He leaned in close to me in my office, his voice barely above a whisper. "Doctor, I haven't been intimate with my wife in 3 years. I thought it didn't matter anymore." His prostate told a different story: swollen, inflamed, restless nights, constant bathroom trips. When we worked together to gently reintroduce intimacy, not with pressure, not with performance goals, but with comfort and closeness, his health shifted. His prostate calmed, his symptoms eased, and perhaps most importantly, his marriage came alive again. His wife later told me, "Doctor, I feel like my husband came back to me." Another man admitted he avoided intimacy because of insecurity. His erections weren't what they once were, and rather than risk disappointment, he chose silence. But that silence didn't just rob him of closeness, it robbed his prostate of one of its natural defenses. When he began practicing simple breathing and gentle self-release, his confidence grew, his prostate symptoms lessened. He realized intimacy is not just about pleasure, it is medicine. Gentlemen, I want you to hear this clearly. Intimacy is not selfish. It is not indulgent. It is health care. Just as you drink water, move your body, and protect your sleep, you must honor this part of your life. Because when you shut intimacy out of your life, you shut one of the most powerful doors to healing your prostate. It doesn't need to look the same as when you were 25. It may be slower, more tender, or different in form, but it is still vital. Every embrace, every moment of closeness, every release tells your body, you are alive, you are balanced, you are still a man. And while intimacy is often the most personal habit tied to prostate health, it also raises many questions. Men write to me all the time asking, "Doctor, how often is healthy? What if my wife has no desire? What if I can't perform?" These questions matter, which is why in the next part of this podcast, I'm going to pause and do something important, answer your comments and questions directly. Because your voice is part of this journey too. Gentlemen, before I go further, I want to pause. Because many of you have been writing to me emails, comments, even handwritten letters. I read them all, and the questions you ask tell me something powerful. You are not alone in this. The struggles you carry are the same struggles other men whisper about but never voice. Tonight, I want to answer some of them directly. The first question comes from James, 68, who wrote, "Doctor, I drink more water now, but I still wake up twice a night to pee. Does that mean it's not working?" James, that's a great question. The truth is no single habit works overnight. Think of your prostate like a swollen muscle. It takes time to calm. Waking up twice is already progressive before you were waking 4 or 5 times. And here's the key: consistency. Keep the water, cut back on caffeine and alcohol, and give your body weeks, not days. Healing builds slowly but surely. Another man, Carlos, 72, left this in the comments. "Doctor, I'm embarrassed. My wife has no desire anymore. If intimacy is so important, what am I supposed to do?" Carlos, you are not alone. I hear this often. Intimacy doesn't always mean intercourse. It can mean closeness, touch, even solo release. Your prostate benefits from regular clearing of fluid, no matter how it happens. And more than that, your confidence and sense of connection matter. Gentlemen, if your partner isn't interested, don't abandon intimacy, adapt it. Redefine what it means for you. Here's another one from Harold, 70. "Doctor, I've been holding my urine for years because I hate public restrooms. Did I already ruin my bladder?" Harold, you haven't ruined it, but you have trained it poorly. The bladder is like a muscle. Overstretch it and it weakens. But just as muscles can recover, so can the bladder if you honor its signals from now on. Start responding to urges earlier. Over time, you'll reduce the pressure on both your bladder and your prostate. It won't be perfect overnight, but it will get better. And finally, a question I hear more than any other. "Doctor, am I broken? Is this just part of getting old?" Gentlemen, listen closely. You are not broken. You are not condemned to live in frustration. What you're facing is not weakness, it's biology. And biology can be retrained. With water, movement, rest, intimacy, and patience, your prostate can calm, your nights can be peaceful again, and your dignity can return. I share these answers because your voices matter. Every comment, every question helps me guide not just you, but thousands of men who feel the same, so keep them coming. And if you're listening right now, tell me in the comments. Type 1 if you want me to answer your question in the next podcast. Type 0 if you'd rather I keep giving you new science and habits to work with. I read every single one. Now let's move forward. Because there's still another everyday habit that men rarely think about, yet it places enormous strain on both the bladder and the prostate. A hidden habit that most men fall into without realizing it. I'm talking about holding urine too long. Habit 6, holding urine too long. Gentlemen, let's turn to a habit that so many men carry without ever questioning it. They think it shows discipline, toughness, even control. In truth, it slowly robs them of freedom. I'm talking about holding your urine too long. It starts innocently. You're watching a ball game and don't want to miss the big play. You're driving and don't feel like stopping. You're out with friends and don't want the inconvenience. So you tell yourself, I'll wait, I can hold it. At first, it seems harmless. But over years, this habit quietly reshapes the way your bladder and prostate work together, and the result is a painful decline in function. I remember a man named Walter, 72, who came into my office frustrated. He told me, "Doctor, no matter how long I stand there, I never feel like I empty my bladder." He thought something was wrong with his plumbing, but when I dug deeper, I discovered he had spent most of his life delaying bathroom trips. To him, holding it in was a sign of strength, but his bladder had been stretched beyond its natural comfort zone like a rubber band pulled too often. It had lost tone. Residual urine sat behind after every trip, and that stagnant urine was irritating his prostate, fueling its growth like a slow, steady drip of poison. Here's the biology. When you ignore the urge to urinate, your bladder muscles weaken. The pressure builds and pushes back onto the prostate, signaling it to brace against constant stress. Over time, the gland swells. Add to this the irritation from stagnant, concentrated urine, and you have the perfect recipe for inflammation and enlargement. But the damage isn't only physical. The men who carry this habit often tell me something else. "Doctor, I don't feel free anymore." They hesitate to travel, to go to church, to join family gatherings because they never trust their bladder. They're trapped not by age but by years of ignoring their body's signals. And yet the solution is surprisingly simple. Listen again. When your bladder signals, respond. Don't wait until it's urgent. Don't wait until it hurts. Treat each urge as a message. Protect me, respect me. By emptying regularly, you relieve pressure, prevent congestion, and allow both bladder and prostate to function as they were designed. I've seen men make this change and come back weeks later with relief written on their faces. One told me, "Doctor, I thought it was normal to feel heavy all the time. Now I feel light again." Another said, "I can finally plan trips with my wife without worrying about the next bathroom." Gentlemen, strength is not about holding back. It is about honoring your body's wisdom. By breaking this one habit, you give your prostate space to heal and your bladder the chance to recover. And now, as we bring this journey together, let's step into the most important truth of all, the conclusion. Because stopping these hidden habits isn't just about protecting your prostate. It's about protecting your freedom, your dignity, and the years ahead that still belong to you. Gentlemen, we have walked a long road together tonight. We uncovered habits that look small on the surface but carry enormous weight inside your body. Ignoring water, sitting too long, processed foods, poor sleep, neglected intimacy, holding urine, each one by itself seems harmless. But stacked together, they quietly enlarge the prostate and steal away freedom, dignity, and manhood. And here's the truth I need you to carry with you. This is not fate. This is not simply old age. These are choices, and choices can be changed. I've seen men in their 70s and 80s turn back years of frustration, not with pills or surgery, but with small, consistent changes. A glass of water in the morning, a short walk after dinner, a meal built on real food, not processed junk, a full night of sleep, a moment of closeness with their spouse, a decision to answer the bladder when it calls. Piece by piece, they reclaimed control. And with it came not just prostate relief, but energy, confidence, and a return to themselves. So my challenge to you is simple. Start tonight, not next week, not someday. Tonight, replace one bad habit with one better habit. Choose water over coffee. Stand up from the chair. Turn off the TV an hour earlier. Embrace the intimacy you've been avoiding. Every small step is a signal to your prostate. Calm down, heal, restore. Because this is not just about a gland. It's about your freedom to live the years ahead on your own terms, to travel without worry, to sleep through the night, to share closeness without fear, to feel once again like a man in full. Now, before we close, let me ask you for something important. If this message spoke to you, if even one part gave you hope, hit that like button. Not because I need it, but because every like tells the algorithm that men's health deserves to be heard. And leave a comment below. Tell me, type 1 if you're ready to start breaking these habits tonight, or type 0 if you want me to bring you even more solutions. I read every single one. Finally, subscribe and tap the bell. Don't let this be the last time you hear the truth about your health. At the Prescott Lab Podcast, we don't deal in theory. We deliver practical science for real men living real lives. Gentlemen, you are not broken. You are not finished. And your best days are not behind you. They are ahead of you if you choose to claim them.